This tutorial will explain how to make an exploded view. That is our assembly with all of the parts separated enough that it would be much easier with that view to assemble this object. You'll see it in a lot of instruction manuals when you have to assemble things like IKEA furniture. Even the first paper of this train packet has an exploded view so you can see all of the parts. The trick with an exploded view is it isn't in the assembly. So I have this assembly, it's an IAM file, and I have it saved. To create an exploded view, I have to create a presentation file. So I'm going to come up here to New. I can choose File, New, or I can click this paper here. That is also New. And you'll see that we've created a part. We've created all those train parts. We assembled those parts. In the past, we've done drawings, which are your multi-views and isometrics on paper. The last one is a presentation. You can see here it says create an exploded projection of an assembly. And so that's an IPN file, and if I double click on that, that will create a presentation file. You'll see that the only option I have right now in the presentation is create view, so let's click on that. And I want to find the assembly. Because I already have my assembly open, it's here and available. I may have to go and find it here under open an existing file if I don't have it. And I also want to do an automatic explosion so that it can at least partway do a lot of the work for me. It isn't the best at it, so it isn't perfect, but I'll choose automatic explosion and click OK. And you can see that my assembly has now been exploded. All the pieces are out slightly, some of them better than others. You may find that, for example, your train stack is inside of the train. So we'll have to do some tweaking of this. And you'll see that your second button now that's available is called Tweak Components. T is the quick key for that. You'll also want to keep in mind that we're trying to make this obvious where all the parts go from an isometric view. So no matter what else you do, if you're moving around to check this or to move things out of the back, press F6 and make sure that it looks good from this isometric view. So I'm going to go to Tweak Components or press T, and this opens up. Now what I need to do is choose the part that I want to move. And I'm going to start with this piece here. I want to pull this out a little bit more. Now notice that as I move my mouse over this, what it considers to be X, Y, and Z changes depending on which surface I select, which is kind of a pain. I usually want to select a surface that's perpendicular to where I'm trying to move it. I want to move this out. And the Z-axis is the default one, but I can always pick a different one. So I'm going to choose this here, this face, because that gives me the Z-axis out. Now when I click and drag, oops, and I'm on the X-axis by accident, but I can drag this along what it considers to be the Z-axis. And the best thing to do is to move it a little bit and click Close, because now if I click on this green dot that appears at the end of this blue path right here, I can now continue to move it in the direction I tweaked it initially. I can move it wherever I want now, so I can pull this out here. So let's do that again. I want to pull out this linkage peg, so I'll click on T or choose Tweak Components. I'll click here. It says in this case that it's the Y-axis that's in this direction, so I'll change my transformation to Y, and then I'll click and drag this out a little bit and close it. And now I can move it wherever I want. So you may find that in the back here my tweaks are pretty good, my automatic ones. I probably want to move this stack up a bit. So I'm going to click here where the Z is up and drag it a little bit. I may want to move this one in a little bit, so I'll press T, choose that one and drag it in. And if I can move things about 1/4 of an inch away from each other out in the open, that'll be the best way to deal with it. So I think that's a pretty solid presentation, good exploded view. So I'm going to name this Train Exploded. It's nice to have exploded view or some of that in the name, just in case you can't see the IPN at the end. So I'm going to save that. And I'll just say, okay, I don't need to save all the other parts. I didn't change them, so I don't have to make any changes. Now in here, I can also, you don't need to do that for this assignment, but you can see under Animate. Animate allows you to, I can click this record and save a video file of the animation of it making those changes. So you can see it's pretty slow, and then at the end it'll do all of the automatic explosions at once, so it's not always the most useful in this case, but I could make an animation that I could put into a presentation here, but I don't need to do that. What I want to do now is put my assembly and my exploded view into a a drawing. And so I'll do that as the next presentation or as the next video tutorial. Just keep in mind, before you save for the last time, make sure that you're back in, press F6, make sure you're back in a nice exploded or isometric view, and that the explosion looks good from this view, because this is what we'll need next.